Hello.
Two. Hi guys, and welcome to the Garage Athlete Show. We are on episode 32 with myself and Dan, and you guys really took to heart, obviously, us telling you off last week for not giving us any questions, because we have had an absolute flood of questions come through. So I know we're both quite pressed for time this week, so we're going to try and get through as many as we can. We're going to delve straight in and try to not go off on too many tangents. I know me and Dan do like to go off on tangents. So how are you anyways, buddy? You all good?
Yeah, all good. Just balancing insane amount of work, life, and homeschooling, and not sleeping with 2 newborns, but I'm just fine.
Yeah, I think the majority of people that have been there with newborns, like trying to manage a business and then homeschool a child as well as looking after newborns, that's an absolute nightmare. So the first question we've got today is one from a previous set of questions from James Crowther. So currently doing 100 reps lifting for 100 days for charity. Any advice in programming it in? I am 5 days in and just doing which movement hurts the least in a way. I started with deads, then went to shoulders day 2 and working on my way down. Okay, so it's got a full body movement and then to shoulders. So do you want to take the lead on this one? Have you got any ideas of how we could be incorporating like 100 reps?
If you just got to do 100 reps every day, then just do something that excites you for the day. I won't worry too much about whether it's shoulders, back. I mean, you can to a certain extent, but if whatever you just enjoy it, just go back in. It's almost like training like you used to do when you first started. Just get out there, think, all right, well, he's got some cool bits of equipment and strongman kits. All right, well, I'll do 100 yoke runs today. I'll do 100 pickups of farmers. I'll do 100, triceps. If you're feeling super beat up, it's like I'll do 100 leg raises on abs. There's tons of different things you can do. So just vary your training all the day. Like Dan John did a great article years ago on T Nation about lift a day. So all you do is you choose one lift for that day, smash it. The next day, choose another lift, smash it. So you're kind of getting in what you would do in maybe 2 or 3 sessions that are spread across the week in 6 sessions. And it's actually really, I've done it before. It's a really refreshing way to train, actually. So just do what excites you, I would say, is my advice on that one.
Yeah. So if you think about 100 reps, it's just 10 sets of 10. So you only need, if you're doing 2 or 3 sets on each exercise, so say it's 2 sets on each exercise, 5 different exercises, that's a normal lifting session, kind of doing 100 reps. But if you're kind of wanting to do something specific, like say, for example, if you were wanting to throw in like 100 pull-ups, like throughout the day, it doesn't necessarily all need to be done like in an hour. You could do, say, 20 sets of 5. So say you're awake for 10 hours, so every half an hour you do a set 5 pull-ups, and then that's your things of the day. Same with push-ups, same with bodyweight squats. Like you don't necessarily need to be doing it as a session. You can just do it kind of like broken up throughout the day. And if I was doing that, I'd take that as time to work on like my mobility stuff. So maybe doing 100 reps of like a hip flexor stretch like throughout the day, or 100 reps of band pull aparts, or something that's not going to absolutely knacker your central nervous system. If you are then trying to train pretty normally on the other days, what you don't want to be doing is just adding in like 100 sets of squats at like 80% of your 1 rep max on top of your normal amount of training. So it doesn't necessarily need to be all for like driving hypertrophy, growth, or strength. It could just be doing some mobility work.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Perfect. So right, on to this week's behemoth list of questions. So the first one is from Chris Billingham. Is there really anything wrong with Maximuscle?
So this will stem from a little post in our group. A chap posted a question about he's taking Proline, I think it was, to get lean. He's getting some good results from it, and I think it just got a bit carried away with some of the comments. People just kind of went to town on the poor lads. But I mean, in terms of, we've all been there with questions. When I first started training, I was like, if I take this fat burner, I'll get ripped. If I have my protein, I'm going to get absolutely jacked, aren't I? That's how it works. And so, well, it's not quite. It's the 5% on top of the 95% of your sleep, diet, nutrition, and consistency. So I think Maximuscle, from what I've had from it, it was really nice. I really enjoyed what I had. In terms of the protein, I thought it was quite good. I thought it was high quality. But with companies like Maximuscle and other companies, you've got to remember you're also paying for their marketing budget and the fact that they are everywhere and you can pick them up in stores and whatnot. So that's where companies like MyProtein found a gap in the market, where they could essentially take out the middleman and just drop the prices down rock bottom for products which are probably as good, if not on par, if not better, but for a fraction of the cost. So I think if you're looking at Maximuscle, I would always go to look at, something like bulk powders, Protein Works, Maximuscle, and see if you can buy one of those brands. Look at the ingredients. If you're getting a whey which isn't a proprietary blend, you should be just fine for a fraction of the cost. So yeah, I think I'm totally fine with Maximuscle. I used their products in the past. I liked them quite a lot, but for a fraction of the cost, you can get other brands.
Yeah, so my first ever protein that I bought was Maximuscle Cyclone. So that had what do you call it? Creatine in it. So I didn't have to do the separate, because the first ever creatine powder that I bought was like a flavored one. And I remember it was the first time I joined a gym. I've been injured from rugby. I've put on a shitload of weight, and I used to basically cycle from my student accommodation to the gym, train for about 2 hours, have my protein shake with my creatine in it, go and swim, sauna, and things like that, and then cycle back. And this was in the 3 months you get off uni. So in like 3 months, I dropped like 10% body fat and put on like 4 or 5 kilos of muscle, because I was literally just eat, sleep, train, repeat. Hiya, sweetheart. So yeah, as you said, there's nothing wrong with Maximuscle. It's just expensive for what it is. Like Dan will probably remember in the days before they added VAT to supplements, you could go and pick up a tub of Maximuscle for like 35 quid, whereas now it will cost you like 55, because they've
even Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard Whey was £32 for a 2.5 kilo tub, whereas now I think you can even pay that for a kilo. But yeah, supplements got stung really badly with the VAT. But you got to remember with Maximuscle as well, it was rugby based. I remember Wasps had a Maximuscle sponsorship, and at the time they were really strong and powerful. So every it made me laugh that you said about every rugby player in the country wanted Maximuscle. So you can believe my luck when I joined Quins and we had a Maximuscle deal. I just got everything I could, ate it all up.
Just get it in.
In fact, at one point we had a trade account for Harlequins with a distributor, and 17-year-old Dan, entrepreneurial Dan, got hold of the account and was just dishing out supplements through the store school. So that's paid for quite a lot of things, which was fun. But yeah, I was very I got it given to me, but I wouldn't pay the prices for what it is. You're paying for marketing and pictures. I guess if you don't mind paying that, then great. But in terms of what's in there are just better prices around, really.
Yeah. Do you know how much it costs them in terms of like base products to make a 2 kilo tub of protein? It's about £2. No. So whey is a waste product from the cheese making industry. So before protein powders, whey just used to get thrown away. So some clever marketer somewhere went, bodybuilders basically people, bodybuilders at the time will want to buy that, and that's why old whey just used to taste like garbage, because they didn't care. It was a waste product. Whereas now, I think it's something stupid like the supplements industry worth like £5 billion or something.
Yeah, well, you know what it's like. They see whether from what was a waste product. You see it in the meat industry as well with barbecue with steaks. Like what was a cheap steak, like say a flat iron or a hanger steak, would be getting thrown away. They've realized people are going nuts for it, so they're like, "Oh, sweet, jack the price up." So yeah,
supply versus demand. So
God, if I hear that, if you write that in the group, I'm gonna fucking headbutt you. But yeah, basically. Okay, so next one we've got half rack versus full rack, pros and cons. So do you want to kick off?
Yeah. So I have a full rack. I've used a half rack at the gym I used to work at. They are pretty similar in terms of kind of like the uses. I'm guessing the pros of the half rack is it's often got a smaller footprint in terms of how much space it takes up. I'm just trying to think of some of the pros for the full rack. The full rack will often have like pull-up bars and stuff kind of like attached to the back. Can you get pulley systems that attach to half racks as well?
You can now, they go off the side.
Yeah, so before it was the full rack, we'd be able to get a pulley system, but some clever bastards figured out how to do pulley systems off half racks. There isn't really much difference. I think the main difference will be half racks are probably a little bit cheaper, depending on kind of like where you go. Depends again on what spec you go for. So I think the main reason that you've moved away from a full rack to a half rack has mostly been space, hasn't it? It's to be able to have more space in the limited space you've kind of got in the garage.
Yeah, sorry, my wife's just currently ripping me for my setup with my headphones and my microphone. She thinks it's hilarious.
Hiya. We're going to make him into an internet sensation.
I would say we should still get our missus on the podcast to tell the home gym crowd how it really is. What it's like being married to someone with a home gym.
Definitely. I will put the idea to my missus and we'll get it organised.
No, don't put it to her.
Well, because the truth will come out.
Well, she's about watch me talk about the differences between half racks and full racks. Whilst looking after the twins and toddler. Oh god. So half racks and full racks, as we were saying. Yes. Fuck off. Oh man, you see, the group is a safe space for us to talk about all of this. If you talk about home gyms and geeking out amongst normal people, they just look at you like, go for it. What is wrong with you? Like, yeah. All right, so half racks. Footprint is one of them. I've just changed my full rack to a half rack. I've got a single car garage gym, and I like the idea now of having a half rack. One, because it feels like it's opened up a bit more space, and space is quite important in a home gym. Two, it means I can now do Olympic lifting in the middle of the gym, which is something I want to start progressing on, which I haven't been doing, but now I do because my goals have slightly changed from more powerlifting focused to more Olympic lifting focused. Next on the agenda is full racks. Offer potentially a bit more safety. Some people just like the feeling of being in a rack. It makes them feel a bit more safe and a bit more comfortable. Other people don't mind if they take the weight out of the rack or not. If you are going to have a half rack, you need to either bolt it down or make sure you've got lots of plates on the back to weigh it down, because there is potential for it to flip more than a full rack. So, I mean, safety wise, you might argue that full racks are safer, but it depends on the rack, and I think on what you've bolting it down, if you're going to bolt it down or not. Other things to consider are, I think when you mentioned cost, it really depends. Half racks seem to be about the same price, if not more expensive now than full racks.
Oh, really?
I think that's because they come with extra things like plate storage on the back, which obviously has a cost, bar holders. They also come with the spotter arms, which are more expensive to make than your typical pin safeties. So you're looking about the same price for those kind of racks. I think half racks are probably, I would say they're preferred for single car garages. I just think they just open it up a bit more. You know, little things like even moving the bar in and out of the rack is just so much easier because you're not having to constantly take it in and out, which, you know, is not really a big deal, but it might get a bit trivial after time. But, you know, I've made my rack into a half rack, but I've still kept all the cross members to keep it as a full rack. So I'm going to run it for a half rack, see how I go. If I don't like it, I'll change it back. So,
yeah.
You know,
well, that's the benefit kind of you've got with your rack, is you've actually been able to customize it and turn it into it, haven't you?
Yeah. So especially with the prices of racks and the how scarce they are at the moment, I would potentially look at speaking to a local fabricator if you currently have a full rack and getting something made up.
Yeah. And then David Sanderson throws into there, what about fourth option, a folding full rack?
Yeah, leads us to our friend over at Muscle Squad. Hopefully he'll get that released soon and we can let you know what we think of it. I think in theory, it kind of ticks all the boxes, right? Having that foldable rack in and out. I think whether you buy it or not, A, depends on price, which I think is priced quite competitively, but B is how easy is it to fold it in a way. I know a lot of guys
and also how is it to install? Like, will it install in a single skin garage, kind of against the wall? Again, how much is it going to be rated? If it's just drilled into the wall, like at the end of the day, the last thing you want is to be dropping whatever it is on there and the whole thing pulls the side of your garage out the side of your garage.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. But I mean, folding racks, I think they're great in theory, but a lot of people I've seen that have them just leave them up all the time because they can't be bothered to fold it away. So it
Yeah.
kind of seems they like the fact they've got the option, but it's a bit pointless. The best one I've ever seen is the PRX rack, which has I think like a gas cylinder system where you just pull it up and down. But again, that's only available in the States and it comes at a premium. So that would be my choice of all the racks, but it doesn't exist in the UK.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll go next. We have bro
Split
split
versus. Sorry, the
versus
cat just wanted to
push.
come and say hello. Come on, come and say hello. Ah.
Hey, a cat. Oh, you got a cat versus push pull legs for someone who trains 6 day a week. Push pull legs. That's what I would say. Moving on.
Yeah. Out of the two options, push pull legs, you're hitting more frequency. Training, if you think about it, if you do a bro split, you train a muscle group once a week. You do push pull legs. If you're training 6 days a week, you do it twice a week. Therefore, in a year, if you train 50 times on the bro split, one muscle group, you can train 100 times on push pull legs. Twice as much stimulus coming through, and as long as you can recover from it, that's fine. The thing with the push pull legs is it just, what you'd probably want to do is do push pull legs, or sorry, pull push legs day off, pull push legs day off, so that you're giving your central nervous system a little bit of a break. Just because doing pull push legs then a day off, like training 6 days in a row, if you're training heavy, you will not be lifting to your potential on day 6 because it's just not human to recover from.
Yeah, my next question is why are you training 6 days a week? You don't need to. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one, your individual perspectives on why not all male trainers seek out or choose male coaches or female just as adept, experienced, knowledgeable coaches. Right. Do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, tentatively. So in my experience, when even as a male coaching males, probably the number one reason behind this is ego. Men don't tend to like being told what to do. They don't even like being told what to do by other men. It's you often find with when I pick up a male client, they've tried it on their own for a number of years before they've sought out the help of a coach. Whereas when I pick up female clients, they haven't, or they might have tried a bit of this and a bit of that, but they will often come and look for help like a lot sooner. So if a guy is already struggling with the fact he's coming to ask for help, I think in society, men should be seen as big, strong, like that's what we should be seen as. Going to a woman to then ask for help on how to get big and strong, it's just kind of one of those societal things that I just don't think we've grown out of yet. Have I ever had a female coach? I don't think I've ever had a female coach. If I'm honest, it's something subconscious. I hadn't even thought of it until I saw this question on the list, and I actually thought to myself, like, why have I never had a female coach before? Like, I've had female teachers at like school and college and university, but I've never sought the advice of a female coach before. Like, what do you think it is?
I think we're in as much as knowledge is essential and what you can provide to your clients is essential. A lot of your clients or people that you choose to work with, you are wanting to emulate their success in some way, or you aspire to be like them in some way. When I think of the people I've worked with, I've got in person, it's more female, online, it's more male. So you think into that what you will. But I think when I've worked with coaches, it's more been, say, powerlifters I've seen that have deadlifted triple body weight or squatted, whatever. Not even triple body weight, but it's something I'm trying to emulate. So say I am a big fan of like a heavier powerlifter who is in the 105, 120 or open class, who has achieved good success. So I'm going to want to try and copy that. Not to say that women aren't doing that, but it just doesn't feel like it feels in line with my goals. In PT marketing, they talk about you've got to know your avatar, your avatar, your avatar. Even though you know you can serve multiple different clients with multiple different uses and can get success, if you want to be successful, you have to know exactly who you want to train. And I think they try and get you to nail it down to gender and all that kind of stuff. And I think it just tends to be that men tend to gravitate towards men, and then women, I think it works the same as, I think a lot of women, particularly younger women I see these days, are more gravitating towards women trainers as girl trainers as well. Girls, women, female, I don't know what word to use there. It's one of the things I wouldn't say I'd never have a female coach. Jenny Todd's a strongman coach in the industry, and she works with men and women, and has had great results and is very knowledgeable. And I listen to what she has to say and trust it. I'm trying to think of who else. Power. I don't really know many female powerlifting coaches. It just seems to be like it's like when you're at school, just girls seem to sit with girls and boys seem to sit with boys. Is that,
do you think
a
that could be
thing,
as well, that obviously people tend to gravitate to people that are like them? So it's easier
that's what I was trying to say.
It's easier for men to become part of like a tribe with other men.
Women haters. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I've worked with female coaches with sprinting and with yoga and with rehab work, and it was great. It wasn't a problem at all.
I don't think it's a conscious thing.
No, I don't think so. I was running, is it or isn't it? I don't think it is. I do think women will probably, unfortunately, will maybe struggle to get male clients through no lack of their knowledge. But I just think like it's just kind of the way it goes. You kind of, like you say, you kind of sit within your avatar of what you put out there. You kind of becomes a magnet of what you get back.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Rachel, we don't think it's a conscious thing. It's just people tend to gravitate to people that are more like themselves, which will just mean men will tend to gravitate towards men and women will tend to gravitate towards women. As you said, we've both, like in person, I've worked with more female clients. Like online, I work with more male clients. Like that just seems to be kind of like how it is. And it's not anything to say that I wouldn't take on a female coach if I found the right one. I've never had a female coach like reach out to me to want to coach me. Like I've had to go and search, and like you said, my coaches that I've had success in natural bodybuilding. That's why I've kind of gone and kind of sought them out. Let's go to the next one, unconscious bias. I'm just reading through the...
So we'll just jump to the next question. So Will Moon, how do you get motivated again after an injury? I've just had 3 weeks off with an injured back and hip, and I just can't seem to pick it back up. So number one on that is you're just going to have to get started. Even if you've got a home gym, even if you go in for 10 minutes and just do something, you just have to get started, and you have to check your ego at the door, which is really, really tough, but you're going to have to leave it there and just get moving again. If you're coming back from an injury, you have to accept that you are going to be quite far away from where you were. It's not necessarily the end of the world. It will come back very fast. You just have to let go of where you were, which is very tough, and then you can start progressing again and learn to enjoy the process of training once more. You need to, we've talked about this before, but you need to look at exercises maybe you haven't been pushing and work on them, so you don't have to think about what previous numbers you've been hitting, so you can make some new personal bests. You have to shift your focus away from being the absolute best you can be to fixing what problems you have at the moment. So if your back is sore and you're coming back, you've got back and hip problems, work on your back and hip rehab. So get your hip airplanes in, do your single leg work, do your core work on, I would say, higher sets of low reps. So even stuff like 10 sets of 5 could be a really good place to start, and then keep working through that until you get to the point where you feel good, and then start dropping the sets and increasing the weight, and then just get back. And you have to think of yourself as a train getting started. It's going to be very slow, but over the next few weeks turn into months turn into years eventually, and you will get the ball moving again. But yeah, just go slow, do something new, go higher volume, lower weight to begin with, and then progress from there.
Yep, I completely agree with that. And just remember to do your rehab work. Like a lot of people go straight back in and they forget there's a reason why your physio is giving you those exercises. Like, they are there to help repair whatever caused the damage in the first place. So cool. I think that covers that one.
You can pronounce
do you want
his name.
I was going to say, do you want to attempt to say his name? So we've got
Here we go.
Gurkaran Singh Durahale.
Gurkaran Singh Durahale.
Yeah.
Sorry, we are very bad at that, but we tried our best.
So I hate doing deadlifts because they hurt my lower back. What can I do to improve my core and technique? Tried doing deads again last week and back went again. One, lift the bar up higher. So start doing block pulls. Hiya, sweetheart. Have you just been to the potty? No? Why are your trousers off then?
Why
You
not
need to do a poo-poo in the potty? Yeah. Have you done one? No. Potty training is going well.
Good girl. Well done.
Okay, you take. Oh, thank you. Are you going to? What do you want?
Amazing. So I mean, I think I'll.
Yeah, if you get started on this. And
so,
firstly,
so I think Donald was talking to was elevating the bar off the floor. Not everyone has the mobility or the technique to lift from the floor. So if you want to raise it up a few inches and you find that really helps the feeling in your lower back, that could be a good option for you. I think in the group you asked, do you like deadlifting because you want to deadlift or do you feel you have to? I think you replied, you just try and improve work because it's a great exercise for what I have at home. That is right. Deadlift is one of, if you can do it properly, one of the best exercises you can do. I would say, however, if deadlifting is causing you more problems than good, it turns into being one of the worst exercises you can do. So what I mean by that is if you're training deadlift a lot, you're always getting hurt. It's not become a good exercise. It's become something which is quite toxic in your training, which you need to remove. You can look at other options to train the muscle groups you're looking at. You know, heavy bent over rows are great. I think stiff leg deadlifts could be a good variation for you, starting from the rack and going down. And then you can look at, you know, your chin ups and good mornings and stuff like that. So I would say maybe for the short term, take deadlifts out and continue training your back in other ways. I mean, this is something we can probably slide into your DMs and talk to you about. And then the next option is to learn how to deadlift and learn how to deadlift really well. It's a simple movement, but it needs to be done correctly, especially if you're going to start adding load. So, I mean, deadlift's kind of a risk reward one. When we were playing professionally, we didn't do any deadlifts because even if you're good technique, it was just potentially too much load going through your back amongst the very heavy, tough season. So we didn't deadlift during the season. So just to reiterate, I would have a good think. Do you need to deadlift? If not, take it out for the short term, work your back muscles in other ways, find different exercises to work with. If you're really passionate about deadlifting and you just want to learn how to deadlift, that's great, that's fantastic, but just accept you're going to have to strip the weights back, take some time with technique, potentially work with someone till you get to the point where it feels good, and then progress from there.
Yeah, completely agree. One thing that I find a lot of people that are getting back pain from deadlifting as well is they've got anterior pelvic tilt. So their hip flexors are really, really tight from being in a seated position all day. So one really, really kind of quick fix for that is really, really stretch your hip flexors well before even attempting to deadlift. So if you took a picture, just stood on straight, and if you think about your pelvis, if you think of it like a bowl, anterior pelvic tilt is the bowl is tilted forward and therefore the liquid's all falling out of the front. And that's the same thing kind of happening with kind of the core muscles. Often it's happening because of tight hip flexors and tight abs, and it's pulling everything forward. And that's why you're kind of feeling the pressure in your back when you are doing the hip hinging movement. So it might be worth getting somebody to do a bit of a analysis on your posture just to figure out if you do have anterior pelvic tilt, and then they might be able to give you some advice when it comes to that. I know Dan's very, very good at doing some rehab work, so I will plug Dan because I know he won't plug himself. So if you're struggling with your deadlift, just send him a DM. You might be able to work something out to figure out how to get that sorted. Simon Randall, why are people so worried about others wearing gloves in cold gyms? So
I think it's a bit of well, there's 2 points to it. There's toxic masculinity, I guess,
yeah.
is the word. I hate saying that, but there is this whole bravado, like, oh, you're funny, or you're gay. Like that makes a difference with if you wear fucking gloves or not, you idiot. And going on and on about that, you got to be tough and all this kind of shit. Yeah, I get that. I personally don't like people wearing gloves purely because I want the biometric feedback from your hands touching the bar, specifically if I'm more into strength athletes, strongman powerlifters, rugby players, that kind of stuff. I want them to feel what the weight feels like in their hands, and I want them to toughen their hands up to that stimulus. I want them to get calluses. I want them to be able to hold the bar, because you can't do that in competition or anything away from there. I mean, if wearing gloves means you can actually train and get the session you want out to do it, wear gloves. I mean, I'll probably still give you shit for it because I just don't think you should wear gloves. But if you need to wear gloves, fine. It's not the end of the world. I think some garages are getting ridiculously cold, as we know. And if wearing gloves means you can get through your workout, just wear them. It's not something I've ever done or ever will do or will ever promote. But if wearing gloves helps you, then lift it. I mean, Ronnie Coleman wore gloves for his lifting. He seemed to do all right. So, I guess you could argue he was insane, but, I guess my point is, I think it's just a fun bit of banter to have. I think sometimes the banter is good fun. I think sometimes it does come from a bit of a strange place with some of the comments we get, which we normally keep a good eye out on. But I guess it's partly a bit of fun, partly people just seem to really, go in on this snowflake pussy mentality and all that. And it's just like, more often than not, the people saying all this stuff are fucking wet lettuces themselves. And
Yeah, they're the ones that get super offended when somebody says something back because they've gone onto their profile picture and gone, "Do you even lift?"
Yeah, exactly. And more often than not, I've seen pictures of videos of Thor, the classic Thor Eddie battles of Thor doing it. Eddie did it first, and like you look at the picture of the guy and they've never even touched a weight in their life. It's just so boring. So I mean, it's partly it can be a bit of harmless fun, but secondly, I think sometimes people just are very quick to bring up problems with other people than what they're doing.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I think most of the time it's just harmless banter. It's just people just like to take the piss out of each other, and that's just a really, really easy way to do it. When you do have a garage that is separate from your house and there's kind of no heating and no insulation in there, those bars can be fucking cold, and it can be painful when it touches your hand. But for me, like, grip strength isn't that important. I'm a bodybuilder, so I will put gloves on when the bar's really cold, because it just means that I can get in, I can get warmed up, my session's done in an hour. Whereas if I was waiting to stick my heater on, I've been putting bars next to radiators and all this sort of stuff that I've seen people doing in the group, it's like, fuck that, I can't be arsed with that. I'll just put a pair of gloves on and get on with it. However, I'm now I've insulated my garage door. I'm going to be putting up a roof with some insulation in there so that the temperature is just a little bit more bearable in the winter. And then, as you said, the other thing is just, I think on the internet, people are very, very quick to, what do they call them? Keyboard warriors. So they're very, very quick to criticize other people, when actually, if they kind of took the same amount of time to critique their own training, they'd probably be making more progress.
Yeah. Does that mean it's going down? Strong people lift people up, they don't put each other down.
Yes.
Right.
What's the best anti-inflammatory and joint care food, diet, cream, tablet?
Omega-3s, sleep, and I quite like a bit of collagen at the moment. Not the pills, not buying collagen pills, don't buy that, but putting chicken stock everything. Stand Fitting's big on it, vertical diet for those that are interested. Just covering food in chicken stock, just for their collagen from the bones in the bone broth. When it breaks down, it's for the collagen. So hopefully it's good for you. For me, sleep is the most important, and reducing alcohol intake. I found alcohol really does fuck up with my back if I drink too much. So I found good sleep, moving around properly, doing your mobility work. In terms of nutritional stuff, what I say, omega-3s, they're pretty, cod liver oil, I think your mum used to make you take, that kind of stuff. There's some good research behind it. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, just get the pills of omega-3, hey, and then some collagen from bone broth, and then that's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to add on in terms of the supplements, when you are trying to supplement omega-3, you also probably want to try and reduce your omega-6 intake. So if you're eating a lot of beef, try and get grass-fed beef rather than corn-fed beef. Same with like chicken and all that kind of stuff. So the thing with inflammation, it's all about the ratio between omega-3 and omega-6. Basically, the Western diet is really high in omega-6 and not very high in omega-3. So when the ratio goes out of whack, that's when it causes inflammation. So you can start with obviously supplementing omega-3, but then try to reduce your omega-6 content as well. One thing that's meant to be quite good for like systemic inflammation as well as turmeric. So make sure that it is curcumin, which is turmeric mixed with black pepper extract. If you just take pure turmeric on its own without black pepper, it basically just shoots out the other end. It needs to be taken with black pepper extract for it to be become bioavailable to the body. Hello, sweet. Oh no, is that stuck in your hair?
Nice. So,
at
what point are you deemed an influencer?
It's
I've
my
had
knee.
over 200 views on my dumbbell reviews. Can I become an internet sensation yet? I think I would say to become an influencer. What do we think?
10K on Instagram is the kind of
Yeah,
the,
10K on Instagram and what, maybe like 20K views on YouTube? What do you think more than that?
I can't remember like what the thing is meant to be. Basically, it's when YouTube would start paying you. That's when. So if you've got 10K followers on Instagram, you will start getting paid to promote products. YouTube has particular settings. She's not.
By my skinny
so
too.
I'm just making sure she's got no pants on, so I didn't want her standing up in front of the camera. So yeah, there are particular settings. Obviously, well done on the 200 views on your dumbbells, but keep plugging away, and I'm sure you will become an internet sensation because everyone loves your accent.
Let's just have. Are you fucking what, mate? Look at my fucking dumbbells. They're fucking mint, mate. Right, let's go on Elliot's. How many views did I get for my review? Let me see. I think while I'm doing this, do you want to get the next question up, mate?
So the next question was, what song would you be playing as an entrance to your gym as your garage doors open? So I was thinking like, like a wrestler, the entrance music to when they come into the ring. So I'm trying to think.
What would you have?
It's called Beast, but I can't remember. It's the Rob Bailey remix.
I'm a motherfucking beast. It's from Southpaw.
Yeah.
So I've got 254 on my video.
Let me see. Right, let's play. Yeah. It's got to be this first bit. This is one of my like heavy sets songs.
Did you ever have that one that was like 50% power, 50%
that drop?
Concentrated power,
that would be when you'd be coming into the ring. And
yeah, mine would be probably something like stupidly heavy. I'm trying to think what I'd have. I've got my playlist, which is pretty good. I know what I would have. A horrible night to have. What's it? A horrible night to have a curse by what they called the Black Dahlia Murder. That would be my one.
Fair enough. Oh, do you want to know what the highest views on one of the podcasts is?
Yes, I do.
So episode 27, which was a Q&A, has got 734 views. So we are well on our way to becoming an internet sensation.
Right. So Elliot got so far, he's got 247 views on his adjustable dumbbells. What did I say for mine?
240 something, I think.
Oh, I've got 254 and he's got 247. Get him. Yes. So I am more of an influencer than Elliot by by 5 or 6 views. Amazing. By 7
So yes,
views.
everybody who's listening to this episode, even if you've watched it before, now go and watch Dan's review of the Primal Bench again, please, so we can bump his views up to annoy Elliot.
This is the best day of my life. I am officially more of an in-demand influencer than Elliot. Love it. But no, it was a great dumbbell review actually. I think it's resulted in quite a lot of sales for Muscle Squad because Elliot bought those dumbbells himself and he really rated them, so we put that on them.
Sorry,
right, next one. So hang on. Next question. What is your favorite style of programming? So, quite a big question, but just think of it. I'll start off. So, my favorite style of programming. I'm going to be so boring here. Whatever gets me to the goal I'm working towards. So, if I'm powerlifting, finding out my indicator lifts seem to work quite well. So, I like variety. I like to push the main lift pretty much every week, but I also like to push the accessory lifts that, like, if we're talking bench press, I like to push benching probably twice a week, but then throw in another day of, say, floor pressing, which is quite a good indicator lift for me, and pin pressing. So I like to keep those all in. So in terms of powerlifting, probably like a daily undulating periodization style of programming works quite favorably for me, but I also like throwing in a bit of variation amongst that with the say going from squats to box squats to safety bar squats, I find works quite well. So basically whatever gets me towards my goal. So I'm hey gorgeous, I'm more of a fan of frequency than I would say of doing something once a week or once every other week. So frequent training, pushing my MRV as much as I can, and getting me close towards my goals. So that'd be my favorite style. You?
So I'm a big fan of high intensity, high frequency, low volume when it comes to bodybuilding. So like DC training or more of the stuff trained by JP's putting out. Would I give that to a beginner? No, because that's a very, very easy way for people to fuck themselves up very quickly. So again, it all depends on when somebody's coming to me, what part of their training journey kind of they're in. So I've used loads of different styles of programming with clients, because it all depends on your training age, how much experience you've got, how good are you at lifting. Like for a lot of people coming in, like we have to spend a good 1 or 2 blocks just to kind of get better at the basic lifts before we can then start adding in the proper progressive overload.
Absolutely. So Ed Cohen's like the best powerlifter there's ever been. Basically, he said, if you're progressing, stay with it. Like, I'm not going to change it for you. If you're squatting once a week and you're making sick gains, squat once a week. Just do that. Just stay with it. So the best programs, whichever's the ones that's working for you.
Cool.
Right, where are we next? This is a good one. Can weight training be detrimental to physical health if you can't get enough sleep?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I think yes and no.
Yes.
That pirate meme where it's like, well, yeah, no, but yes.
If you're training above maximum recoverable volume, then which sleep has a big impact on. So what you've got to remember is if you've got your training volume is here and then your maximum recoverable volume is here, then you're not going to have a detriment to health. What can happen though is if you're sleep deprived, your maximum recoverable volume can come to here. So if your training volume stays here, then yes, it will start to have a detrimental effect on health. And because you physically can't recover, and it's the symptoms of overtraining. So if you look up overtraining, it's like lack of motivation, injury, you can pick up illnesses and stuff like that. So in short, I would say yes, it can if you're not getting enough sleep, but you would just lower the volume.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in theory, you want to get as much sleep as you can. In reality, very few people can. Most of the guys, girls I know that train have kids, have young children, so they're up through the night, have early starts, have work. So they're not optimal, but they kind of put it to the side and say, you know what, it's not going to be optimal. I'm still going to push hard, and they're still making incredible gains and great strides in their training.
It's good to get around that. Caffeine and lots of it.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm thinking that through an IV at the moment. So I think it can be potentially dangerous in terms of, you got to think of it. When I see these questions, I normally try and think outside of it a bit. So say if you're sleep deprived, you're feeling a bit shit and you don't warm up properly, you're going to get injured potentially because your mind's not switched on and your knee goes. That's the way I think of these things. But it's not ideal, but I know plenty of super strong people that don't have any sleep. Hang on, you put your mic on mute, mate.
Sorry, I was just calling Josh because Willow's playing with Play-Doh over there, and I don't want to.
Oh, that's
fall
okay,
off.
cool. Oh, mate, I love Play-Doh. Right, so what have we got next? So, Stim Pump pre-workouts for evening sessions. What do you recommend? So, before we get into that, Elliot's done a fantastic review all about this. I would suggest watching it. He's gone into enormous detail on this. It's really good for about 20 minutes. I certainly learned a bit. Pre-workout's not my area, so I would say look at Elliot's video, but then I'm sure Donald has some good advice on that.
Yeah, so if you're training in the evening, probably go for a pump pre-workout because caffeine will interfere with your sleep. And as we just said, if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to interfere with your ability to recover from your sessions. One thing I would like to do is get somebody who like really knows like the science behind pre-workouts actually onto the podcast so they can talk us through like what ingredients to look for, what certain ingredients do.
I've got some.
Yeah, perfect. Just because we're not scientists, like I'm not being funny, I don't have enough time to be going and doing all the research on what is like up and coming, what happens in what I'm looking for in a pre-workout is like if it's a stim based one, like a medium level of caffeine, so anywhere between like 200 to 300 milligrams. A clinical dose of beta-alanine, which is between 400 and 600, and
the old Skinnature.
Yeah, and then you're looking at L-citrulline, which is the pump agent, and then you've got which breaks down into arginine. So basically, arginine is what becomes nitric oxide within your blood vessels, and that's what kind of vasodilates. And L-citrulline will break down into L-arginine, and then that will become nitric oxide. So what you do is you get like a slower release of kind of those things that are going to help with the vasodilation and kind of getting you the get up and go to be able to.
Yeah, man. Right, so moving on to the next one. What do you wish you knew when you first set up your home gym? Number one, I wish I knew there was a global pandemic on the horizon where second-hand equipment sells for the same price, if not more than retail. I would have bought, well, I probably would have started up a fitness company actually, but I would have bought everything under the sun, or I would have hoarded everything and then released it when the pandemic hit and recouped some cash. And I would have done it that way. Yeah, I don't think you should buy new to sell on again. This whole like, well, how do you think the world works is just a shit argument. I just hate that. It's
buying
just, if you can't
new at retail, waiting until it sells out and then bumping the price up is not how the world works. How the world works is companies buy from a wholesaler and then it comes up to retail price. That's how business works. It's like me going to Tesco when all the fucking toilet paper got sold out, going and buying a garage full of toilet paper, waiting till it sold out, and then selling it on at like £2 a roll. Mate, I would have been absolutely crucified for that. And some of these people that were doing that with like hand gel and stuff at the beginning of the pandemic were absolutely crucified for it.
Yeah, my favorite is like, well, you don't see Tesco going into Lidl, buying all their stock, going back to Tesco and selling it. It's just not. It's just not the way it's done. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. We know our feelings in the group about that. Yeah. So, is there any health issues with eating lots of eggs, which is the safe amount to eat each day? So, potentially, yes, there are some health issues if you do eat too many eggs. It depends. There are some good videos on YouTube about this. The bodybuilder comes to mind. I've forgotten his name. He actually found that when he was going over 3 eggs a day, he was getting some bad readings in his health markers from his blood work, where you've had other people eating about 7 to 8 eggs a day, no change whatsoever. So the only way to know is to get a blood test and find out, but really closely monitor it and maybe work with a nutrition. You have to work with a nutritionist on this to find out. I think in terms of the whole like eggs and cholesterol thing, I think it's been pretty much debunked. Well, I'm hoping it's been debunked for about, ever since I've started lifting like 20 years ago, we've debunked that. So, personally, I eat 4 eggs a day. I think it's totally fine. So,
yeah,
I think that shit answer, it depends. Yeah.
Well, this question comes from that study that they did, which
Kellogg sponsored.
Yeah, it was done by a cereal company. They wanted you to stop eating eggs for breakfast. So the stuff that came up was just it's just not reliable. I think in terms of cholesterol, like your body naturally makes the same amount of cholesterol as is in somewhere between 10 and 12 egg yolks a day. So if you, and it's, the body's very, very quick to upregulate and downregulate cholesterol. So if you're eating more cholesterol, the body will just produce less cholesterol. If you're eating less cholesterol, it's the same kind of like vice versa. And actually the fats that are in eggs are actually really, really good for you.
I eat your eggs every day. I think
Yeah, well, I think it's 100% bioavailable in terms of protein. Like they are the highest bioavailable of protein, and then it's like beef. So it goes like eggs, whey, and then beef, and then chicken. So it's why all bodybuilders eat eggs. In terms of health issues, again, we're not doctors. We can't say, right, if you eat 4 eggs a day, you'll be fine. If you eat 2 eggs a day, you'll be fine. It's the only way you can know that is by kind of getting a blood test. I personally eat like 2 to 3 eggs every single day, and I've never kind of like had any issues. But that's just my personal experience, just like Dan was just giving his kind of personal experience, whereas that bodybuilder was eating like 2, 3 eggs a day and he was having issues come up on his health markers. So I'm guessing there's going to be a genetic.
This is someone that knows exactly what's going on it. But they've also got they've got biotin in them, which helps you convert minerals to energy. So nutrients to energy. So good in that regards as well. So what have we got next? Best program for a noob. I'm simply looking to gain strength to complement my long distance running. Go seek out Alex Viada on what do you call it, on the internet. You know, he's the authority on it. The guy's a triathlete that can deadlift 700 pounds. You know, just go look him out. I would say on that one. I mean, I work with a few runners. I found by just working the unilateral with their split squats, single leg squats, Bulgarians, lunges, all that kind of stuff, and just getting them stronger. I found it's improved is it the gait from when you're running? Just they're able to generate more force over time.
Yeah. So every time you take a step, it's a submaximal contraction. So to be honest, for most runners, just doing some leg-based strength training will improve your running. It doesn't need to be anything overly specific. You don't need to train like a power lifter. As Dan said, focusing more on unilateral work. So at the end of the day, most of your running is going to be on one foot or another when you're running. So just generally getting a little bit stronger should then kind of convert across. But yeah, as Dan said, there's that guy that's on the internet that's got loads more experience than we do.
Yeah. So what's your recommendation on medium size area for a home gym shed? Home gym / shed. So my first home gym, a set of dumbbells from Argos. That was my first home gym, and whatever I could do in there. So what we're talking, like a postage stamp, like a meter squared, 2 meters squared was my first home gym. You know,
you work with what you've got at the end of the day. There isn't a minimum. Like if you've got space, you can do something. As long as I would say the minimum is that you're able to lay down. Like the space it takes you to lay down is the minimum amount of space that you need. Because if you need to do something to the side, you turn sideways. If you need to do chest press, you lay down on the floor and do chest press. You need to do squats, then you've got enough space to kind of be able to do that. In terms of like a home gym, like having a squat rack and that kind of stuff, then it's whatever. Again, it's whatever space you can work with. Like, what space have you got?
Yeah, I've just put a platform out in my gym, and it's an 8x8, but the actual area I use is 6x8 feet, by the way. So I would say that's if you can work with 6x8, you're pretty much covered. Like I could do everything I wanted in that gym in that area. So yeah, I would say if you're building one, maybe go 8x8 or 10, 10x10, maybe that would be a good amount. You can certainly get strong in a small space.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think we're on the last one.
Last one. We've managed to absolutely fly through these. Are Epsom salts a worthwhile addition to aid recovery? Understand nutrition, mobility, and sleep issue with baby and young kids are more important.
Yeah. So I guess what he's saying is he's aware of, sleep, all that kind of stuff. He gets it.
Did they absorb through the skin, essentially?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll answer it in terms of it's a 1%er. So if you've built your base pyramid with all the other great stuff, which I think you're aware of from what you're saying, yeah, why not? If it makes you feel good, it can potentially help. Don't stay in it for too long, though, because it will sap some water out of you we actually use Epsom salt baths to drop water when getting ready for competitions, and if you don't do it right, you will get severely dehydrated. It can be quite dangerous, actually. So
Did not
don't.
know that.
Yeah, it's, well, some guys have had some really big problems with it. Like, we're talking extreme ends of the spectrum here, but I've seen some pretty scary things happen with that. But I think to throw in a here or there, I personally think they could be great. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think in terms of aiding recovery, like a hot bath, it stimulates blood flow to the skin. The Epsom salts in there. There is some research that shows like magnesium absorbs through the skin quite well. I don't know if magnesium's in Epsom salts. I can't remember the makeup of the salts that are in there. So if you're finding that you cramp and stuff a lot, then it might be a way to get some extra magnesium into your system. Didn't know that obviously Epsom salts draw water out. So obviously kind of be aware of that. And it might be a psychological thing. So the thing with a hot bath, especially with Epsom salts or not, is it's going to help you relax. So when you are in a relaxed state, you stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, which just will aid in your recovery. So whether it's something physiological or whether it's the stimulation of your natural recovery abilities, that's by the by. It's just like they've shown that ice baths, like physiologically, don't help recovery. But I don't know about you, but if I've had like a heavy rugby match and I've got an ice bath, I felt better the next day, regardless of whatever the science is saying behind it. So sometimes it's physiological, sometimes it's psychological, the benefits. But at the end of the day, if it gives you 1%, if you're chasing those 1%, by all means use it.
Yeah, just make sure to have water when you have your baths, just because of the salt. That's all. Just water. But you were right. I've just googled. You're right about the magnesium, by the way.
Perfect.
Cool. I think that covers it.
That about covers it. So great to speak to you again, matey. So where can the guys find you if they want to know anything lifting, coffee making, living with twins?
I am in the gym, home gym group daily, just chatting absolute bollocks. I would, if you want to argue about something pointless about home gyms, please send me a message. We'll do that, or I will comment on your posts. Just make sure it's not about an Aldi rack, insulation, or flooring, and then I'll be your man to talk to. But you can find me on Facebook at just Stan Frazier, on Instagram at Barbells and Beans, and on YouTube as Daniel Frazier.
Perfect. And for myself, I had to boot a Herbalife distributor the other day because he got into an argument with me about him promoting it. And if he just, if he had just apologized and went, you know what, I won't do it again, I probably would have left him in the group. But he was such an arsehole to me. I was like, so yeah. Note to everybody listening: don't get into arguments with the admins. We will just boot you. Like it's
with the first order, we'll sort you out.
Well, it's not a democracy. It is a dictatorship. So see you later.
You underestimate.
But yes,
I got
you can.
Star Wars meme the other day. I was happy.
Yes, you can find me at DHPT on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm going to be converting the YouTube to the Garage Strength Show. So that'll be the name of the URL. Once we hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, I'll be able to change that across. So that's where you'll be able to find all these podcast episodes in future. So
like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
We will see you next time, guys. I will speak to you later, BT. Bye for now.
Bye.